Dark days for Manchester United, still, you would say?
Yeah, look, it's a poor result for a club, isn't it? I think overall in the game, they played well in the first half. Second half, I think we all knew Atletico were going to make it difficult. They got that lead, and they're always a difficult team to break down once they get that lead. And I think the referee was poor, but I think Manchester United let their emotions get the better of them and just didn't do enough in that second half.
But the referee isn't why Atletico Madrid won that game, is he?
No, United just they lack composure in the first half, lack composure in the second half. And if you play against Atletico Madrid, they want to turn the game into a scrap. You know, the more stoppages there are, the more players on the pitch they argue. And United just lost their heads because they got involved in Darren Fletcher. You know, I don't know what he's doing on the touchline. He's getting booked 5 minutes towards the end. So I think as a club, as a whole, the fans as well, we see some reactions. When Simeone went down the tunnel, you know, objects were thrown at him. I think the whole club lacked composure tonight, and hence they got knocked out, and deservedly so, because over the two legs, I think Atletico was by far the better side, a lot more, composed, and just they found answers with the ball, and this is what I was missing in the first half at times. For all their efforts, for all their intensity in their game, didn't create enough. Created one and a half chances in the second half, but you've got to say with the ball they just haven't been good enough.
It's not like it's a surprise that Atletico played the way they did. I mean, we've seen this under Diego Simeone for years.
Yeah, and again, I think it's exactly what Diddy said. I think he's let them get to them. They've let Atletico get to them. You can see the whinging, Darren Fletcher getting the yellow card, Bruno Fernandes when he was on, he was too busy giving out to the referee about decisions not going his way, that he didn't play his game. So I think overall, the two legs, I think Atletico definitely deserve the win, and United have to really look at themselves and see where they go from here.
It's a good point about the Fletcher yellow card, isn't it? I mean, some might say it's at least somebody showing a bit of passion there, but it does show the difficulties. There just appear to be in frustrations around everything at Old Trafford.
Cool heads, you need cool heads. Yes, you know, once emotions get to you, it'll use focus and concentration up, and you know, there's hardly any players I know from playing experience or after, when you do start arguing with a referee, with the opposition, it doesn't do good to anyone. You know, all it does, it encourages the opposition because they know, you know, now we've got them. And you felt, I never had the feeling at any stage that United is going to score a goal. Of course, a deflected shot off a corner. They had some very good headers of the ball in the team.
Even in the first half, you didn't think so?
Yeah, the first half, yes. But once they went 1-0 up, and I think the longer the game went, I think the more comfortable they were. And Atletico always looked in control, and I've seen him quite a bit this season. And obviously they needed a Liverpool win at San Siro in the last game of the group stages to beat Porto and then go through. But I've seen them against Liverpool. They've been absolutely outstanding in that game, even though they lost at home. So on their day, they are a very, very good side. And I think they showed it over the two legs. I think they are to be counted at. If they avoid Liverpool or Manchester City in the next round, you know, I can see them going a round further or even 2 rounds further, because, you know, this is a team, they seem to have what made them when they were really successful. They seem to have got that again. And the wins after the Man United game, the confidence seems to be coming back. Injured players coming back. Koke has been out, played for 60, 75 or 80 minutes today. Was absolutely outstanding. It's a proper football team.
Because it's a proper football team who did have huge injury concerns. We're missing quite a few players today, and who had a dreadful start to the season. They are out of the title race more or less in the Liga, despite their recent good form. So they are a team who have struggled and have issues, yet seem to be able to turn it around in the big day. Yeah,
I think Simeone has been shown a little bit of faith by the club. It hadn't been going well for him, and since maybe that first leg, the league has started to go well for them, and they've really turned things around. But I think tonight what you can see is that Simeone had them organised. They had a game plan, and they frustrated Manchester United, and that's what they've been good at over the years. You know, they get their goal, they get in, they sit tight, and they're hard to beat. But they also have good quality when they're on the ball. And as I said, I think Simeone got it right tonight, and he frustrated the Man United players, and it's the third win. They deserve to go through.
And they're the keeper when they needed him.
Yeah. And what was it you said about Jan Oblak before the game started?
Yeah. Well, he's coming to the fore at the right time, and as I said, the stats are not very good in terms of shots saved, goals conceded. His overall game, he started very poorly after 2-3 minutes. Fred outjumped him. You know, it's not a foul. You know, I think he was very fortunate to get away with it. But then you've got to say he was back to his best. You know, he was, he gave his team a lot of confidence and security because he was just. I had a feeling today he's unbeatable in the shots he had to save. He's done a brilliant job.
Even with his head every now and then. Will we have a look at the chances that United did create in the second half? Would you never felt looked like we're going to go in?
Well, if you look at the chances, I think apart from that Sancho one, this is a half chance at best. If you see the replay here, Oblak had it well covered. The ball goes a yard wide, and he still nearly touches it. So that's not a chance for me. That's a half chance at best early in the second half. And you thought, well, maybe they're probing, maybe they do create more chances in the first half. This is probably the best chance all game. A brilliant take by Sancho. He makes great contact. Just doesn't get his body over the ball enough. And here, pretty comfortable save in the end because Ronnie said in commentary, for some reason he stood in the far corner of Oblak, which made the save a little bit easier. And then the follow-up, I think Ronaldo was offside. This is not a chance. It's going well wide here, covered. So overall, you look at the Elanga chance in the first half, you look at Sancho's, Varane's 2.5, 3 chances against a very good team defensively, yes. But then again, it's just not enough. If you look at the team, if you look at the players they brought on in Cavani and Pogba, I don't think it's enough. And as you said, a few managers try their luck. It looks like there's no Champions League football next season at Old Trafford. And they've got to have a look where they want to go in terms of direction. Who's the director of football? Players coming in. The players he brought in are well past their 30s, so they probably won't take more part next season. And Rashford off colour, we touched on it before. He came on and he looked like he doesn't want to be there. So God knows what happened to him. I think there's a lot of issues and question marks about a lot of players at Old Trafford. As
there has been for years now.
Yeah, I think, look, the time now has come. I think there's a few players coming towards the end of their contracts this year and next year. New manager probably coming in. I think it's about time United really looked at what they want to do for the future. I think it's been manager after manager coming in, different styles, just haven't worked. And I think a lot of the players that are in that team are a problem. There's players who either don't want to be there or they're there and they're not giving their all. And that's just not acceptable at Manchester United. If you're playing for Manchester United, you've got to go in every day. You've got to give it your all in every game. I think Rashford's come on tonight. Now, people are saying he's got lacking confidence, but he's been playing and he's getting the opportunity to come on. Why is he coming on? He hasn't performed recently. Why has he been brought onto the pitch? Cavani, again, another player who I loved when he came to the club. He's been playing really good. He has that passion about him, but he's come onto the pitch tonight and he hasn't done anything. He's been out of the team, kind of a little bit strange that he hasn't been wanting to be in the squad. There's so many issues with Manchester United at the moment, and I think now is the time to really look at what they need to do in terms of who they bring in and what direction they go in.
Well, it's not just now. Sure, it's not. I mean, if we have a look at the stats from down through the years, since Alex Ferguson left, that's what it's been like. We see here, I mean, last year actually was one of their best seasons because obviously they finished second in the Premier League. But this is not what you would expect from a club of Manchester United's recent history in particular. And also, people may not realise this, what they've spent on players, on transfers since Alex Ferguson left back in 2013, £1.17 billion. You'd expect better than that.
Well, the stats wouldn't be that bad if they had a transfer embargo for the last 9 years and couldn't buy players. But as you say, 1.2 billion spent. I think they recouped about 400 or 500 million of that, so they've got a net spend of about 600-700 million. They've been past in the quarters twice, I think, in the last 9 years, they said in commentary, Dara. And if you look at the stats, it's just terrible. And I think they were well aware that when Ferguson does leave, it's impossible to fill them boots. But they tried so many managers. And I think, when you see some of the players coming to clubs now, and you see time and time again, if there's no structure in the club, that you buy players, potentially very good players or good players, and they don't perform. In other clubs, players get brought in, talented players, and all of a sudden they make the next step. So at the moment, it looks like every player that's coming to United is getting worse. That's not something to do with the manager. I think it's a thing that's related to the structure of the club, I think they didn't have one voice. Woodward is gone now. A new chief executive's come in. But I think you need a structure in place. And with Rangnick coming in, because I think a lot of the players didn't perform to what they're capable of. Now, to bring him in for a certain amount of time, yes, but he's got an advisory role for the next 2 years. Now, as I said before the game, the football he plays is anti-Man United. It's exactly what Man United doesn't want to see, what the fans don't want to see, what the club stands for. So I'd be interested who appointed him in the first place and who gave him that contract for 2 years as an advisor. Because surely, when a new manager comes in, you've got to try to get back to that old United DNA, to play football, free-flowing football. Yes, it costs money, but as we've just seen, money seems not to be an issue because they spend an awful lot of money on players who are just not up to it.
But you say, why did they give him more than the 2 years? But they had to tempt him away. I mean, it hadn't been long since he had joined Lokomotiv Moscow. There had to be a carrot surely there for him to leave and go to even a club the size of Manchester United.
Yeah, but John, just before Stephanie goes, he's not come from Real Madrid. So, I don't care how big the carrot has to be or doesn't have to be. And we see his last 11 years, he's been a Schalke, then he's been a sporting director. He took over the team because they couldn't find a manager for their season. He did okay. And then he's a global sports director, responsible for all the clubs Red Bull got worldwide. And then he's going to Lok Moscow, which he did remotely, which he did from Germany. He went over there once a month. So, if he works for Manchester United or for Barcelona and he said, well, we've got to give him something, he's coming from Lok Moscow. So if he doesn't want to give that job up to come to Man United and coach them, then I don't know. Man United is still a big pull and I don't get it. Why you give him an advisory role for 2 years when, as I said, he stands for everything Man United doesn't stand for?
Was this not sold as a coup at the time? The fact that they were able to get Rangnick in at that particular time in the season?
I think maybe Manchester United fans are made to believe that anyway. I think that seems to be the way it was put out there. I think the decisions that are being made at Manchester United over the last number of years, not just on bringing Ralph Rangnick in, but the players they're bringing in. There's been players being brought in who you can clearly see don't fit what they want to do. There's Ralph Rangnick has been brought in, as Didier said, he's playing football that Manchester United don't want to do. Manchester United have always been possession-based football, attack, score more than the opposition, and Rangnick seems to be coming in wanting to work on the team off the ball. And it's been crazy because the players that he has there, they can't play the style of football that he wants. So everything that's happened at the club the last couple of years is just not being in sync. There's just, as I said, there's a lot wrong at the club, and I think a lot of questions still need to be answered.
Well, Didier is even saying that he doesn't even have a really strong coaching background as such.
Yeah, he seems to be able to talk up what he's done so far. I think a lot of people are questioning now where he's come from and what actually he has to back up what he's talking about. But again, I'd agree with Didier. I think getting him in was probably, they thought maybe they were getting the great man who's going to come in and change the philosophy of Manchester United and really bring them forward. And again, it's not just Ralph Rangnick's fault. I think there's a lot of issues at the club. The players are at fault as well, because no manager comes in and tells players not to work hard either, and that seems to be a problem with some of the United players. But overall, I think there has to be a complete restructure. Whoever comes into the club, seems that they're going to have Ralph Rangnick behind them. How's it going to work? I'm not sure.
Restructure in what way? Because obviously these problems have been growing, and there has been, as we said, there's been plenty of money spent, and yet things just on the pitch, off the pitch, just don't appear to be working.
Well, you need a manager who's got the full backing of the board. I think that's the first thing. You need to bring a manager in who's got the experience, who's probably got the... Well, people talk about Pochettino. Pochettino would be my first pick at Ten Hag in Amsterdam, done a good job. Where they can do it in the Premier League remains to be seen, but you need to have the full backing, and then somebody's got to call the shots. You can't have 4 or 5 people, talking about transfers. It's got to be a director of football who, with the manager, picks the players, and obviously the last call has always got to be with the club, because the manager could be gone in 6 to 12 months' time, and the club buys the players they think move the club forward. So I think that's the first thing they've got to do, and then they just have to see who they trust to move the club forward, because if you go in as a manager now, I wouldn't know where to start. De Geer is back now. He seems to be at the form he's had when he first came to the country. But then Maguire as a captain, is he a a captain that makes you win the league, I'm not too sure. And then Lindelof, you know, they've got a lot of players who are good squad players who play 20, 25 games, but you need players now who make the team better. You know, McTominay's done well. You know, he's improved an awful lot in the last couple of years. But, you know, Wan-Bissaka, 50 million, he can't get a game. So where do you start? Ronaldo, I think they would do well to let him go in the summer, let him go somewhere else and bring somebody in, because you need to start building now. And if you finish 6th or 7th, they did it anyway. You know, do it with young players. Bring 2 or 3 players from the academy up, because they finished 6th or 7th with all these top players spending £1 billion. You may as well throw the young ones in and finish 6th with them, because then you've got a chance, if they do improve, that at some stage in 4 or 5 years' time you can compete with City and Liverpool again, because at the moment they can't.
No, Manchester United's season looks to be more or less over at this stage, but not so for Atletico Madrid. They are through to the quarterfinals yet again.